Oh, thank you for having me, Brilyn, and thanks for your almost 5-year incredible success with the Truth Gazette. Good for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You know more than anybody that we got to be fighting the fake news on the front line. So we really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Senator Allen, what do you feel legislators need to focus on most in 2018?
Well,
Attorney General Steve Marshall, what? Secretary John Merrill.
Mayor Walt Maddox, thank you, Mr. Dawson. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
thank you, Brilyn.
We are here today in Washington, D.C. with Alabama Congressman Robert Adams. And I'm here today exclusively with Turning Point USA's Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk.
Okay, well, I'm going to say I knew you before you were famous.
Congressman Bradley Byrne, thank you very much for joining us.
It's good to be with you.
Mr. Anthony Scaramouche, thank you so much for joining us.
Great.
I'm with Mr. Will Ainsworth, thank you.
Yeah, how are
so
you doing?
much, Lieutenant Governor, for being leaders, Diamond and Silk and Stop and Silk, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for letting me.
Here today in our nation's capital with Alabama Congressman Mike Rogers. Mr. Rogers, thank you so much. Exclusively with Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Mr. Crenshaw, Alabama exclusively with Miss Judge Janine Puro, host of Miss Stephanie Grisham. Miss Grisham sitting down exclusively with House Minority Leader Mr. Kevin McCarthy. Sitting down exclusively with House Minority Whip Steve Scalise. Mr. Secretary Mr. Sean Spicer.
Hey, thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Dave Rubin. Mr. Rubin, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Brilyn, I'm great. I'm thrilled to be with you. I mean, that was more of a professional intro than they'll give you on CNN, and I suspect your journalistic integrity is also better than CNN. So I'm looking.
And joining me live now is Miss Alex Clark. Alex, please join me in welcoming from Trump headquarters the Trump 2020 campaign press secretary, Mr. Hogan.
So joining me now is conservative commentator Brilyn Hollyhand, the teenage founder of the Truth Gazette and the host of his own podcast.
The legend himself, Mr. Sean Hannity. Sean, welcome to the show. How are you?
That is probably, Brilyn, that is probably the nicest introduction I ever got. I've got to tell you, I'm impressed. If I see over...
Aaron Pradini, Director of the Press Communications for Trump 2020 Trump. Donald Trump Jr., thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's great to be here.
I'm here today in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, sitting down with HUD Director Dr. Ben Carson, Secretary Carson.
Time is Brilyn Hollyhand. He's the phenomenal 14-year-old founder of the Truth Gazette. So Brilyn, it's been a little bit since we catched up last, but for all of our viewers, Brilyn's going to take my job someday, so I'm enjoying it while we can. Brilyn, you've had some pretty major interviews.
But we're here today in the West Wing of the White House. Not only the West Wing, we're here with Kayleigh McEnany, White House Press Secretary, in her office here in the West Wing. I was told right before this interview, this is her first interview in her press secretary office, so we're making history here on the Truth Gazette. Kayleigh Mac, please welcome to the show the one, the only Mr. Benny Johnson. Welcome to the program. How are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming back on Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Sarah Sanders, welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I wish that other reporters around the country were as smart and talented and knowledgeable about the issues as you.
First time, I do not see a path to victory for the Republican Party that does not include Donald J. Trump. Mr. Jesse Waters himself. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us today. Mr. Ben Shapiro. Mr. Shapiro, thank you so much for joining us today. It really means a lot.
And thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Charlie yourself. Charlie, welcome.
I'm honored. Roll Tide.
I thought this was a really cool guy. You might have heard of him. His name is Ted Cruz. He's a United States Senator from the great state of Texas. He's agreed to sit down with us here for 2 minutes. Mr. Alex Ruppalo. Alex, welcome to the program. How are you doing?
Brilyn, nice to meet you and nice to be on your program.
There was a young interviewer. This kid is a teenager from the Truth Gazette. He's gotten some pretty big names.
Joining me now is none other than the one and only Miss Kellyanne Conway.